Hello everyone, my name is Zach and welcome to On Cash Flow, where I help you become a master of your own cash flow. Now let's get started. The 7 levels of financial independence that you can achieve. The order that I'm going to be presenting them here is not necessarily that one is better than the other or that you need to achieve a certain level of financial independence. No, we're just going to be talking about, generally speaking, how much wealth you would need to accumulate in order to be considered this level of financial independence. So let's go ahead and start with the first level of financial independence, and that is coast FIRE. All right, so coasting financial independence. And it generally means that if you achieve coast FIRE, that you have enough money to use compound interest to get you to regular retirement with the amount of wealth that you have now. So let's explain that with a good example here. So let's say that you are currently aged 30 and you want a regular retirement at your full retirement age according to Social Security at age 67. That means between age 30 and age 67 that you have at least 37 years left until your retirement. So you want to figure out, are you coast FIRE right now? In order to estimate this, you just have to take your current amount that you have invested and then make a projection of how much average annual return that you're going to get from that investment and see what the number is going to be at the end of your time period. So you're just going to be using a simple compound interest calculator in order to estimate this. So let's say at age 30 you have $100,000 net worth. 37 years from now you expect to get an average return of 8% from your investments, and a compound interest calculator is going to estimate that you have $1.7 million by the time you're age 67. Now that does sound great, but we do have to keep in mind that during that same time there's going to be inflation that's going to be eating away at that $1.7 million. So it's not going to be worth nearly as much as it is today. So you have to actually adjust for inflation to see how much you're going to have in the future and how much it's going to be worth in today's dollars. Like how much you would theoretically need to retire in today's dollars, but you're going to have to adjust that for inflation based on when you turn your actual retirement age. If that is enough for you to retire on, then you are technically coast FIRE. So your coast FIRE number is going to be the number of wealth you need today in order to allow compound interest to allow you to retire in the future when you want to retire. The next level of financial independence we're going to discuss here is known as flexible financial independence, or put shortly, FLEX-FI. With flexible financial independence, you're going to be using a higher withdrawal rate, initial withdrawal rate, than you would in a traditional sense. So in a traditional sense, you've heard about the 4% withdrawal rule. Well, in a flexible financial independence withdrawal rate, you're going to be starting with a higher withdrawal rate of around 5%. The magic here is that you're going to be adjusting for market downturns. So you're starting with a higher withdrawal rate of 5%, and you're not going to be withdrawing that same amount adjusted for inflation upwards every single year. You're actually going to be decreasing your withdrawals when the market takes temporary downturns. You also need to be flexible to where you are willing to earn a little bit of extra income. The whole idea here is that you don't have to wait as long as you would if you were following the 4% rule, or if you were following a 3.5% rule, or even like 3% for your withdrawals. Now you're starting with around 5%, a much higher withdrawal rate, but you are being a lot more flexible as in how much you're going to spend year to year. So for example, if you started with a base amount of spending of $30,000 per year, that would be around $2,500 per month, then your FLEX-FI number is going to be $600,000. So once you achieve your investments of an amount of $600,000, then you would be considered flexibly financially independent because you can start withdrawing 5% of that, and that would be $30,000. And then if there are market downturns, you want to build in flexible spending within that spending plan to where you can further reduce your expenses temporarily in order to, wait out those market downturns. You also want to be willing and able to go and earn some extra income if you need to, if your portfolio is not doing as well as you expected. And then you just keep adjusting to keep your plan going. No matter what level of financial independence you personally are going for, there is some due diligence that needs to be accounted for, that needs to be done after you achieve financial independence. And I have a whole separate video on what you should be doing after financial independence, but we'll talk more about that later. But for now, let's move on to the next level of financial independence, and that is lean financial independence, or lean FIRE, however you want to call it. And this is open to your interpretation of how you want to define lean FI. Generally speaking, it's mostly acceptable to say that if you are living on below the median household income in the United States, then you would be considered lean FI when you're living off of your investments. With lean FI, you're typically going to be following the 4% withdrawal rule, so your initial withdrawal rate is going to be around 4%, but you're also going to have baked into your plan a little bit less discretionary spending that you would typically have with like a regular financial independence. And there really is no specific number to say, hey, this is lean FI and this is when you become regular FI, but I like to define it as being a little bit lower than the median national income or the median national spending. However, as a good example, you can live on about $2,000 per month in many low-cost living areas in the United States specifically, and of course around the world as well. And that could be about $24,000 per year. And if you were living on the 4% rule on $24,000 per year, then your starting initial portfolio value should be around $600,000. And that would be your lean FI number. Now, one small step above lean FI is one that I like to call Nomad FI. So instead of staying in one place, which is generally the plan if you are lean FIRE, Nomad FI is where you're actually moving around, typically worldwide, based on where is going to be best for you to have a higher quality of living. Now, traveling can have much higher expenses, all right? Those are going to be higher discretionary expenses. And that's why even if you are moving to lower cost of living countries, it might be a little bit more expensive than a lean FI lifestyle that stays in one place, one low cost of living place. So with Nomad FI, I would generally define it as you're still starting with the 4% safe withdrawal rule, but your plan is basically traveling full time and taking advantage of low cost of living areas around the world. So for example, if you want a Nomad FI number of $30,000 per year, then you would need to spend $2,500 per month. If you were using that 4% as your guide, then that means that you would need a portfolio of around $750,000 before you start taking your withdrawals. Sometimes you can stay in higher cost of living areas, and sometimes you can stay in lower cost of living countries, and you can kind of balance out your budget that way, so where it fits into your Nomad FI lifestyle. And one more quick thing I do want to add in here, no matter what level of financial independence you are going for, you do need to like this video because it's definitely going to help you out on your path to financial independence, because then the YouTube algorithm is going to recommend more of my videos to you, and with knowledge comes power, with power comes great responsibility. And that is what you're going to be getting if you like this video. So please like the video if you're enjoying it so far. I would really appreciate that. But next up on the totem pole of FI lifestyles, I think that right after Nomad FI, we could define a financial independence lifestyle known as Barista FIRE. Barista FIRE can take many forms, but at the most simple level, it is still continuing to work part-time in some kind of capacity. So you're taking some money from your portfolio and you're also earning some income, whether it be from a part-time job, whether it be from a business, whether it be from pretty much anything. So the point is that you're still earning a little bit of money each year to supplement your asset withdrawals. And Barista FIRE is still also based on the 4% withdrawal rule, of course, and also a Barista FI lifestyle usually allows you to spend more and you can still achieve financial independence in a similar amount of a time frame, because you still have additional income coming in addition to your asset withdrawals. So a Barista FI lifestyle might be, let's say you're spending $48,000 per year. So that's about $4,000 per month. So that could be a pretty decent lifestyle in most areas in the United States besides the really high cost of living areas. And you might be earning, let's say, $1,000 per month on average from your part-time work or your part-time business or whatever you're doing to earn some income. And then the other $3,000 per month might come from your investments. So if you are doing $3,000 a month from your investments, that's about $36,000 per year. And therefore, if you were following the 4% withdrawal rule, then your initial starting portfolio value would have been around $900,000. So in this example, your Barista FI number would have been $900,000. And like with most other forms of financial independence, there is no one number that you have to follow to become Barista FI. The only difference here is that you are also earning a part-time income. You are also earning income in addition to your portfolio withdrawals. Next, but certainly not least, after Barista FI, I think the next level of financial independence is just regular financial independence. So this is what most people are looking for when they discover financial independence. This is some kind of lifestyle that they're looking for. And again, regular financial independence is not defined by any single number, but generally it is also following the 4% rule. Anywhere around the median income value, if you are around there or a little bit more than that, within a few standard deviations of that, I think that would be considered like a regular financial independence lifestyle. So for example, the median household income, I think it's in the 60s, like the $60,000 per year or somewhere around there, and that's how much you're basing your regular financial independence goal on, then that would mean that you're spending about $5,000 per month. And if you're spending $5,000 per month in financial independence, that means you need $60,000 per year. Multiply that by 25 if you're following the 4% rule, and you would need about $1.5 million of investments of your starting portfolio value to be considered regularly financially independent. And that is the typical definition that when you would define, hey, I've reached regular financial independence. But there is another level that is typically above regular financial independence, and that is what most people would call FIRE. So fat financial independence. It just basically means that you're spending more than the median income. You could say, hey, $100,000 per year is FIRE. If you live in a really high cost of living area, then $100,000 per year really isn't FIRE. But generally speaking, if you average it out through the entire country, then $100,000 is generally speaking FIRE. But if you're spending much more than the average income or much more than the average spending, especially in the area that you're living in, then you can consider yourself to be fat financial independence if you're living off of your investments. So let's take an example of $120,000 per year. For easy math sakes, that's going to be $10,000 per month. So if you're spending that amount while you're financially independent, while you're retired, then you would need approximately $3 million to be considered FIRE if you're following a 4% withdrawal rate. And now I want to know from you in the comments below, what level of financial independence are you going for? Of these 7 levels, or maybe one I didn't mention, which one of these appeals to you the most? And as I said before, no matter what level of financial independence you are going for, there are some special considerations. There are some due diligent things that you need to account for. And so that's why you need to watch another video that I created. Okay, I created another video, my full guide to what to do after you achieve financial independence. And this applies to any level. So make sure you watch that video after you're done watching this one, okay? It's gonna pop up on the screen right after I get off the screen. Thank you so much for watching this video. I'm Zach from OnCashflow.com, and I hope to see you next time.